Here come the lights. We are green.
This is now side by side for the race lead.
Yeah, big pile up there.
They're so close. Gets a bump for his trouble.
Mad stuff.
It's going to be a photo finish, folks.
Hello and welcome to round one of a brand new series 2025. The Layout Racing League is back at Westhill Cadet tonight in the Formula Skippy, which is based on the Formula Skip Barber 2000 car, and live in Live for Speed on this Saturday, the 25th of January. I'm Peter Butcher, and joining me in the commentary box for this afternoon's action is Eoin Harmon. Owen, welcome along.
Thanks very much, Pete. As our voices are included in that intro, so yeah, it makes sense that we're back together for another turn of our
Yeah, it's been a moment since we were in the commentary booth commentating on the Layout Racing going, but it's good to be back. As you said, Chris McElroy here with us in the background as well, making sure the broadcast is running smoothly as ever. We've got the support of Dimension Racing for today as well, of course. They are always partnering Layout Racing League, so we've got safety car action coming your way as well. And here's the track. Westhill Cadet, 3.5 kilometres. You might know it as Westhill East course, but tonight we're running the Cadet configuration. It's got a different lane that goes over the track towards turn number 1. We've had 25 minutes of qualifying, which has concluded, and we had Rick Cardle putting the car on pole position with Sufor in second place, and they're going to have 36 laps of racing, starting in what should be around about a minute's time. I think we're running slightly far behind, but yeah.
I'll definitely put these cars to the test with the a fast first sector, of course. From turn 1 will be a very sharp corner, then a quick chicane 2 through 4, down to turn 8 is pretty quick, and then the final sector here in the Formula Skippy. Very in-depth mod from the team there, Kilo 46 Labs, like Nico, very well, Gustav Gore, Raphael Games, and Penguin all helped towards this really impressive mod. Sorry.
So yeah, the Formula Skip Barber is going to take its first laps around Westhill East course in a couple of moments' time. The drivers are just getting ready on the grid, hearing reports of some audio issues, so if those are persisting, we will try to sort those out as and when we get running. But for now, we are going to head on as usual. Let's give you a little bit more of information about the series in general. 12 rounds of racing this season, starting off at Westhill Cadet and closing out the season at the Sidus Ring in July. So we're going to broadcast at least the first and the last rounds this season. We may scatter a few more in there as and when we confirm those. But for now, we are going to be covering the first one. But the series is going to take place for the next 6 months. So please join us on the days there on the calendar. There is no sign up for this series. It's a case of turning up for qualifying, setting a qualifying lap, and then away you go. So yeah, so it seems like a good season schedule. It's a fixed class this year, just a single car.
Yeah, that will be one element that will help drivers become more familiar with the series. They have plenty of learning to do with the custom layouts. A lot of drivers, of course, probably contributed their own designs. You can see the familiar names like Michael, Roney, and Scan as well. So that's really fascinating to see how each person comes up with their map, sort of like Mario Kart style. Everyone has their home circuit, or even Crash Team Racing. They all have their own home circuit, and we'll see who can deal with them the best.
Yeah, Scarron's Racetrack was a track that was used on an LX4 racing server back when Westhill was released, Owen. So Scarron started a server and a bunch of people joined there for racing. So Sean using that layout for one of the rounds in every single layout racing league pretty much that we've had. So yeah, some popular tracks on this calendar, and tonight's track looks very good as well. It uses the infield section of Westhill, and then the sort of the southern part of the track, if you like. It heads down towards the big chicane, the back straight, part half of the back straight, and then the sweeping corners up towards what would be turn 2 on the normal Westhill International configuration. So looking forward to that. I think the drivers are almost ready in the background for us to get going. I think we've ironed out those audio issues now. So time to shout out Sean Lee and Nico Plantola, who are the promoters for tonight's event and indeed the series. Partners with both Air Attack and essentially Sidus there. And of course, tonight we are running this event in partnership with New Dimension Racing. And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. We should expect about an hour of racing, those 36 laps with a mandatory pit stop. That should bring us up to around about 20 to 5 UTC when everything gets going. All right, so yeah, I think we'll take a quick pause here while everyone gets settled down for the briefing, and then the race is going to be coming up in just a minute's time.
Here come the lights. We are green.
This is now side by side for the race lead.
Yeah, big pile up there.
They're so close. Gets a bump for his trouble.
Mad stuff.
It's gonna be a photo finish, folks.
Welcome back to coverage here on Sim Broadcasts in Live for Speed. We are still waiting for the grid to be set. Just a little bit of a delay in the background, getting all the drivers set up for our 32 laps of racing. But I can run down the provisional order for the race. We've got Sidus Rickardle on pole position at the moment with Sufor alongside him. Kirill and Falcon, Matti and Gabri, Dodislav and Nozzle, Lucas and Texas, Magriel and Lorenzo, Magic, Igorka, DLV and Johnny SVK, Askus, Bozo, January, Greason. That is your current grid, as it looks like we are almost ready to go green, Owen.
Yeah, not too much longer to wait now. So yeah, the objective certainly will be to time your mandatory pit stop as efficiently as possible, because once we go onto the live pictures, you'll see the pit lane is such a maze to get through, as it is straight on. Like, instead of turning right at turn 11, you just go straight on, and then you go up the hill and you wind about the place into the custom garages, and then to leave you have to go to the inside line at turn 1. So yeah, you're going to have to troll your way through a lot of little curves and braking points to make sure you can pit. So yeah, you don't want to pit when you're perhaps on the front foot, because you're going to lose so much time. So yeah, you have to time your moment just right.
Absolutely, should be a good one. Drivers have been looking forward to this for quite a while, and yeah, it's good to have such a packed season of interesting racing. As we mentioned, it's going to be a single make series. The Formula Skippy is going to be used at every single one of these rounds, for as far as we're aware. And I think there's one round where there's going to be a different car used, but that'll be confirmed later on. Sort of a special event, as I think we are about to get going for the start of the race. Yes, we are finally ready. So let's take to the grid, Owen, and get this show on the road. Round 1 of Layout Racing League 2025 underway at last.
Yeah, I know. Sean, in particular, has been really looking forward to this moment, knowing it's been a good while since we featured LRL on the Sim Broadcasts channel. So now here's our chance to sample the big grid. Rick Cardle there in purple on the left-hand side of the grid just ahead. I think that would be Sufor again. So he's in an incredible streak of form and he wants to capitalize, I'm sure, and get himself a victory. Here come the lights. And away they go. Let's see now. Curl. Oh, that's a fantastic launch from Curl. And he could be on the outside. Rick Carley have a nose in front, but of course the hard braking zone to the right. It's going to be tricky to assemble all these cars. Curl goes too deep, and it's even worse for Sufor into the gravel. So he's going to have to crawl his way out safely. So now Rick Cardle holds on to the lead, but Dodislaw makes an incredible leap from 7th on the grid, but Falcon to his right-hand side will have a better run into the chicane.
Yeah, it's 3 wide as we run down to the first chicane. Kirill's been forced a little bit back there, but it's Rick Cardle that leads into the chicane, followed closely by Falcon, who actually goes off onto the grass, and that's going to allow Kirill back through. Yes, it is. But also a good start there from Dodislav, as you mentioned, up from P7.
Lucas got tagged there by Falcon. So Matty makes an enormous gain as well. Magrillo, similar enough. He's making moves. Lorenzo in trouble there in the background. Down in certainly 19. Well, no, even worse than that. He'd be down at the very back.
Well,
we have a 3 wide. Magrillo, Lucas, Falcon, and Texas watching on with his teammate Johnny going down the inside at turn 7, I believe that is turn 8. One or the other. Yeah, 7 into 8. Now down to the bit of a slalom to conclude the lap.
Oh, Sufor spun round by DLV. DLV going off into the grass, and Sufor going to lose a whole bunch more time. Remember, and Sufor DLV, qualified P2, so a big drop down the order there as we've got a battle on for P2 between Krill and Dodislav. Krill on the inside in that sort of baby pink colour, and he's through, at least initially. Dodislav going to try and get the cut back, and waiting in the wings, it's Nozzle. And he's going to watch this side-by-side battle down the hill.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're enforcing track limits to turn 1. You can just take to the grass and cut your way through, having to really be gentle on steering. You can take an aggressive angle. So this is a really positive start for Kirill. It was looking a bit bleak when he thought his perfect launch off the line was spoiled, but now he's back into P3. Now P2, of course. So yeah, this is really, really good to see for him, but Dodislaw won't give up by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but look at the gap that Rick Cardle's already pulled away. I mean, 2.6 seconds after 1 lap, that's remarkable. These two need to work together in some respects to try and close up, otherwise it's going to be the sidest man out front running away with it. But for now, we'll enjoy the action as we get it, because we're still obviously at the early stages. Everybody thinking about how to capitalise on their race position at the moment, not thinking long term, as a little bit of an awkward exit there for Kirill. Dodislav still not in a position to make a move at this stage. We've got a whole bunch of cars coming in a gaggle together. Sufor cutting through there on Bozo, and now lining up Lorenzo down the hill. Gabri on Magic side by side, also into this kind of, as you called it, the slalom section, and that's the pit entry that you see going up over the hill there. And Gabri on the back of Magic, trying to make a move maybe into turn 1. Oh, the rear stepping out. The car getting
Magic a bit too
there.
deep. He's in trouble now. So Gabri, who tried to slow down a bit earlier and then not use the grass, he may have an advantage after all. And then January has a look to see what these two will get up to with Lorenzo in tow. He's made a good recovery to 15th. January's understeering, Gabri's understeering. Oh, yeah. That's so close.
Oh, and they come back onto the track and luckily don't make contact with anybody, but Gabri losing a whole bunch of time and now in a fight with Sufor. Sufor is through, yeah.
Yeah, well judged there. Lorenzo was locking tyres with Gabri. So That lost him time in the end. More understeer.
Big crash
Oh no!
at the front between Kirill and
Oh.
Dodislav. They've both they've gone into each other. I think Dodislav was trying to make a move on Kirill into international turn 3, and just it's all gone wrong. They've both gone off. Kirill seemingly with less damage, way less damage than Dodislav, but surely Dodislav will have to go to the pits if he wants to be competitive in this race. We've got Matty backwards as well, so drama at the beginning of this race. Matty's, I think he's completely out. Looks like a hardware issue, that car not moving at all.
Yeah, device error. He confesses. That's such a shame. He can get back into the car now, though. Can't try again.
Yeah, driver error, unfortunately. Not the driver, the hardware, software driver for his controller, unfortunately, having an issue. And that means that Nozzle is promoted to P2. Igorka currently runs P3, but McGrio then makes a move to the outside into the chicane to try and take P3 away from Igorka. And yeah, he's still got the inside. That is Falcon in the background as well, who'll want to get involved in this as well if he can. And it's 3 wide.
He's absolutely got the acceleration out of the corner, and he's cleared them both, but he's got to watch out. He shouldn't lunge to the inside, just take the regular racing line, follow the apex as normal, and that's exactly what he's done. So Mugrio has taken the position off Igorka as well. So yeah, really well timed again. So it seems like this Formula Skippy, if you can ace a corner exit, you've got a huge advantage, even though it's identical car for everybody. So yeah, it really is down to timing and skill from our drivers.
Yeah, only 150 horsepower in the Formula Skippy, so it's all about momentum. If you lose momentum going through a corner or running up to a corner, you can be caught. Of course, this car does generate a little bit of downforce, and it punches a hole in the air, so the drivers behind can definitely make moves pretty much anywhere. Especially if they get a little bit of a slipstream to help them along as well. As we head on to lap 5, Falcon takes P3 and joins his teammate on the provisional podium. As we also have some battles going on again with Gabri, who runs wide off onto the grass, in pursuit of Lorenzo once again. Lorenzo back through in that case, so up to P14.
Yeah, there's no shortage of excitement when it comes to Lorenzo. He's been yo-yoing up and down the order since he was taken down to 3rd last. And now he's really pushing on, just setting good lap times. And he should be able to challenge. And then here's DLV, who we saw earlier on making contact. He's against Bosso. Can he make sure the car sticks to the ground properly with the aero and the tyres? Yes, it looks much better this time.
Yeah, good move there, as we've got Sufor also trying to make his way back up the field if he can. He's currently in P12, closing in on Magic, and this will be for P11 if he can close up and make the move. He's gained a little bit on this lap so far, and we'll see if he can get closer by the time we get onto what would be the back straight, but technically the run from turns 1 to 2. He's already closed up into the infield.
Yeah, and that profile of corner, it's totally different when you come in from the other side, turning right instead of the left, in the case of regular Cadet. So yeah, it really does add a new element of a challenge. And Magic has lost the apex completely into the final corner, or second to last corner, and through goes Sufor. You'd almost be tempted to go into the pits there. I know I said in the build-up you want to be in your best form to get through the maze of a pit lane. But yeah, maybe he would have been tempted just to think, I could, get a splash and dash, because a fuel tank could be an issue for this car. It's not guaranteed to get to the end on a single tank.
Yeah, spunky move there again from Magic, trying to get back through on Sufor, as Rick Cardle sets the fastest lap. 1:33.73 by him. He currently has a 7.7 second lead. Unbelievable. And that in the background is Gabri. No, sorry, it's not. It's January trying to get past Lorenzo. Didn't quite work. Close though, as we've got a bit of a train being led at the minute by Magrio. Then it's Igorka with Texas just behind him, and Kirill trying to salvage something after having a fairly firm grip on P2. Had an incident with Dodislav. And speaking of Dodislav, he's down to 10th, so Yeah, Kirill now makes that move on Igorka. Texas also bumped up the order. So this car definitely promoting overtakes, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Sean also said dirty air is barely noticeable in this car whatsoever. So we can have all this close action racing and very little worries about losing your performance. So yeah, that's really important to see.
Dodislav
Wow.
spun over start
Uh-oh.
finish. He got a bad exit out the final corner and has added more trouble to his race. And yeah, an uncomfortable rejoin, losing a ton more places in the process. Not the way he would have wanted this to go at all after that strong start that he had. And Sufor's made it up to P11. Kirill is trying to get back to the head of this pack. He's trying to line up Texas.
Yeah, this is really important now. He's got the sandwich effect. He's got the opponent in front of him. He's got two behind, so he has to react to everything that happens across from him and in front of him. So yeah, at the moment it's probably best just to mimic what Texas is. Well, maybe not in that case. Don't go on the grass, but just try and mimic his actions as best you can. Oh no! And on the grass goes Lucas. That sends him 180 degrees before he can rescue the spin and use the
Igorka's
the rescue road.
Everybody's falling off the track. You can't quite see him. He's in the catch fence here. He went off in the slipstream of Texas, I think it was, and rejoins now in front of Gabri and January. Oh no, sorry, that was DLV. As we've got to move on between Kirill and Texas, and Kirill is through and up to P5 once again.
Yeah, this is an absolutely barn-burning race in the first quarter. No threat of pit stops just yet. Until now, I suppose we may have one car in the pits. Yeah, it's Dodislav, rightfully so. He could try and repair the front wing. It's taken a bit of a beating. Yeah, and now we'll see what I mean. You got to be really careful as the bumps are quite severe on the up and downhill raise before they cross the bridge to the other side after their pit stop is complete. So let's see how Dodislav fares.
Did he repair damage? No.
No,
so he'll have to come round again. Just a splash and dash. Yeah, he doesn't feel as though he needs to repair damage. He didn't even feel, he just stopped as well. So he's happy to continue with the damage that he's got, which is fairly unusual. But here you can see the car goes over this sort of this gantry and rejoins down into the back straight. So Dodislav has completed his mandatory pit stop for the race without doing anything to the car. So that's probably going to hinder him rather than help him there, Owen.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the thinking behind that was. He may have to hope for some sort of safety car intervention, for example, to give him a second shot to catch up to the field with Greason just behind him in the battle for 19th. That will be something he just doesn't want to deal with. Yeah, Greason actually goes on the grass. I just see it now as Lorenzo and Maciek will go side by side in their identical race green liveries. Very fetching indeed. And that is Lorenzo defending position, I think. Yeah, it's a battle for position between Gabri and Igorka. So a bit of bump drafting from the run down to the second, third, fourth corners. Gabri blocking as hard as he can. So he's lost position in the last sector to DLV. So now he's under more pressure. He's lost a second in this most recent split. So yeah, this is big for Igorka's race to try and get him back into play after that spin. Now Sufor, his fight back to the top continues with aplomb, getting past Johnny SVK.
Yeah, looked pretty simple. Johnny made that quite easy for him as well, giving him space at the apex down the hill. And that's back up to P7 for Sufort. As we turn to our race leader, who starts lap number 10 with an 11-second lead. As Igorka retires from the race, we're down to just 18 runners. So losing a few drivers from this race, proving to be a little bit tricky for some, as we've got Falcon closing up to the back of Nozzle. This is for P2. Falcon, remember, started a little way down. Nozzle was promoted to P2, but now they've closed back up together. And let's see if Falcon can get through on Nozzle. While that's going off, we've got more action further down. Lucas trying to get through. Sorry, who's that? That is Lucas getting through on January. That's already happened, so my apologies. Lucas in the green, January in the black. Formula Skippy. And now, Falcon closer than ever to Nozzle.
Yeah, this is fascinating to watch, knowing first place is not up for grabs at the minute with Rick Cardle dominating proceedings. This is so important to get your season off to the ideal start, really, to finish on the podium and get in the second place. As a sort of bragging right in the team race green, that'll be huge no matter who gets it. So yeah, they've got to play fair with each other for now. No need to go checkers or wreckers when we've still got another 20 something laps to go, or another 44 minutes on the clock. So yeah, they can play fair for now, making sure they don't allow McGreo into play. He's another 5 seconds back. So yeah, they've got to keep fighting, but don't overdo it.
Yeah, after his pit stop as well, we've got Dodislav, who now needs to spend the next 20 laps just carving his way back through the grid, as this is a move that he's trying to make for Redbot to try and get himself out of that bottom place slot. And he wants to do this carefully. He doesn't want to rush it because he can't afford any more damage to that car or any more trips through the pit lane. But proving a little bit more difficult than it would have been at the beginning of the race. A little bit more damage on that car. As further ahead, we've got Matty and Gabri together. Matty in the slipstream of Gabri goes to the inside, trying to make the move into the chicane. He's already clear, so that's job done for now.
Oh, Gabri much more confident into turn 2 there, preferring to use the traditional racing line, knowing he had it available to him. And obviously Matty had to block him. So Gabri, he would have been more confident if it was a bit of a separation between the two, but alas, Matty was able to use his car as a wedge to make sure Gabri couldn't automatically repass him. Yeah, up the right hand crest. This has put definitely a fair few drivers under pressure already. They don't want to lift off too much, otherwise it'll spoil momentum. But of course, you go flat out and you hit the grass, and you're going to be spinning.
This car looks fantastic, and the racing that it's providing so far is definitely up to scratch. So I'm very happy to be involved in commentating on this race, as we see there a move on Nozzle from Falcon up to P2. And yeah, my point really is that this car is not as straightforward maybe as some of the drivers would have expected, but provides some fantastic wheel-to-wheel action. As we have a change for P number 2 in this race, and Gabri has actually lost touch meanwhile with Matty, so he's lost a bit of time there. Oversteer moment out of turn 1 onto the back straight for Gabri. It's cost him a whole bunch of time. Stodislav now has moved up to P16. He's got past Kazas, sorry. So up to P16 already. Big gap to close to Gabri though. Almost 20 seconds, 15 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, we'll get an up-to-date split for him right now. Let's see what it is. 14.6 seconds of a gap he needs to close right down. That's going to take him a while, to say the least.
Yeah, as we ride on board now with Lorenzo from that rotator cam on the T-bar, and that is Johnny SVK from Master Race Car, who seems a bit wayward out front. I mean, that's a slalom going on.
Right, Pete, he doesn't want to do that too often, knowing these tyres are a little bit at risk of overheating. And there's a lovely switchback. He may want to make a decision of getting some slipstream just to boost his chances into the 2-3-4 chicane. Here we go now. He's right underneath that rear wing. He should be able to pull one way, the other. He actually goes to the inside using what was available to him. I would have imagined Johnny would have preferred him to go the outside line, but he wasn't falling for it. So Lorenzo is through for 8th position.
Yeah, great stuff. Nice move. Set him up nicely out of turn 1. And that is the best way to do it. Is we've got Sufor trying to go around the outside on Texas. Surely not. Well, actually, I think it looks like that's worked. So unbelievable that you can do make the outside line work. Texas back to the inside, but the momentum will be with Sufor, and he is through and back up.
But he slid, and there's the grass. Texas couldn't avoid contact there. He was trying to...
Oh, and further contact with Lorenzo. Lorenzo surely saw him there. That was silly from Lorenzo. The bright yellow car, yellow flags would have been going as well. And contact between Lorenzo and Sufor, which knocks Sufor back down again, and he's going to be absolutely livid. Mind you, he's actually apologising, of course, to who was it? It was who was he?
Lorenzo.
Who was he even in a fight with initially? It wasn't Lorenzo. Texas. So yeah,
Lorenzo needs to pit. His car is in a heap on the left-hand side. Lucas
as well.
Also has to come in for service, but he, maybe more just to do with his tires. He may not be happy with the state of them. Yeah, Lorenzo, his race is highly spoiled now, and
big damage.
Recovering from this, I don't see it happening.
No, big damage. I mean, the podium is driving away. There's a 15-second gap between our podium drivers, but the gap down to Lorenzo is going to go up and up and up now, and that's going to be a lengthy stop for Lorenzo, who will be repairing all of that damage that he's had on that car. But from our camera position there, it looked like Sufor may have held his car in the right place. I'm not sure if that was actually the case. It looked to me like Lorenzo sort of drove into him, but potentially Sufor drove across the track, and then that led to further contact with Lorenzo. So hard to actually put blame on anybody. But from what's going on in the chat, it looks like Sufor did move out into Lorenzo's path. So potentially an innocent victim there.
Yeah, Lorenzo and Sufor both call it a day. It's just too much to bear, that kind of accident at high speed with one car stationary, of course. So neither driver has the belief that they can carry on. But let's see what Lucas can do now that he just did a literally stop in the box and then moved himself right away. So he is back through against Casas. But he has a lot of work to do himself, as he hopes, I'm sure, for more drivers to actually take service later on in the stint.
Yeah, Lucas threw on Kazaz there and opens up the gap. But let's reset the order. We're almost halfway through the race. Round 1 of Layout Racing League here on Sim Broadcasts. Brightening up your Saturday afternoon with some sim racing action here in Live for Speed. And it's Rick Cardle leading the way ahead of Falcon and Nozzle, 2 race green drivers, currently P2 and P3 on our grid at the moment, with Magrio closing up in 4th place. The gap is 6 seconds to our race green drivers, so let's see if that comes down any in the next few laps. Then we've got Krill, who was in P2 for a while at the beginning of the race, dropped down to P10 there or thereabouts, and has worked his way back up to P5. Next, we've got Texas for Master Race Car. Then Magic, who is currently battling with Johnny SVK, and has actually, I think, just lost that place to Johnny SVK. Yes, he has. So those two switching places. Johnny SVK up to P7. Magic down to P8. Oh, no, but side by side. Down the hill. This battle goes on. Let's stick with this for a bit. Contact. Almost wheel to wheel, but more like wheel to side pod in that instance. Magic there, still on the outside. And into pits. So takes this chance to take his mandatory pit stop. There's actually quite a fair bit of grass on the road into pit entry, which must make it quite difficult to slow down at the top of the ramp. But Yeah, Magic is in. Into the pit box for Magic, and it's a straightforward stop, and he is back out on his way.
Yeah, that allows DLV into the top 10 for the moment, but he's overshot the entry to the corner, but thankfully not the exit. He was able to use the counter steer very well to get himself through the corner, but obviously Matty should be able to take advantage of that and pull further clear. Yeah, there's definitely a fascinating strategy call, I'm sure, coming up for drivers who may feel a top 10 wasn't happening for them on pace, but if they can think of a plan, they could certainly rise above. But yeah, we know Magic and Dodislaw probably not in the position they feel they could be after the tricky start to the race. I know Lucas would have been aiming high as well. He will be pushing now that he had his pit stop, and then Redbot has a chance to get into 15th place here, but it hasn't been his day thus far either. Oh yeah, Kazas goes wide, so yeah, Redbot is through.
Yeah, quite a simple one that. Kazas onto the grass. Lorenzo saying thank you very much. I'll take that place from you. We're down to 16 drivers, and yeah, this is round 1 of LRL, Layout Racing League for 2025. If you like the look of this, then you can join us for the future rounds that are going to be taking place. It's once every 2 weeks for the first couple of months, and then we jump into April, and the schedule sort of shakes itself up a bit. But next time out will be at Broker Hill in February 8th. So please do join the series for that. You can find out all the information you need on the Live for Speed website in the New Dimension Racing subforum. Check out Layout Racing League in there. Back to the action then, and it's Rick Cardle leading the way by 14.2 seconds over Falcon. Nozzle has taken his mandatory stop, as we mentioned, and has moved down to P7 for now. And it's McGrew who takes over P3.
McGrew should be very, very pleased with us thus far, of course. Nozzle should be able to fight back a bit later on. But yeah, to have McGrew in this sort of spotlight at this stage of the race, another 33 minutes to go, not too shabby at all. Now we return to Magic and Dodislaw. They know how important it is just to dig deep and keep fighting. Magic not able to get onto the curb there following the ideal apex, so this is something for Dodislaw to study and see if he keeps doing it, and maybe he'll be able to grab an inside line without too much trouble. Yeah, you can see Magic keeping it stable but not using the curbs, whereas Dodislaw was sliding whilst hitting the apexes properly. And you can see now for the 3rd time in a row the opposing driving styles, but it's not paying off for Dodislaw just yet.
Yeah, Dodislaw trying to make Magic fully aware that he will go for any move at any point. And well, when's it going to happen? Dodislaw, of course, was one of the drivers at the very top. P3 had that collision with Krill on the opening laps, which spiraled them both down the order, and trying to recover as best he can with a lot of damage on his car, it has to be said. And Dodislaw there over the grass at the apex of turn 1, and back into the slipstream on Magic. I think this should be good enough to try and get through here. Will Magic defend it? No, he won't.
No, I don't think there's any defending that, I'm afraid. There is of course, opportunity to counter-attack, but yeah, he's not in the right spot for turn 2 whatsoever. Turn 3 will be compromised there. Dodislaw cuts him straight off the pass there, and then turn 4 allows Dodislaw through. Lucas, I see, pulled in to the garages to retire, so that leaves us with 15 active drivers still in the race.
Yeah, as Falcon comes in for his mandatory stop, let's see how this goes. Should be pretty straightforward, in and out. McGrew takes over P2 in the race for now then, and we'll see where Falcon rejoins. It should be somewhere near his teammate Nozzle. Fuel only for Falcon, so relatively quick stop, as we lose Gabri as well. Interesting. So Gabri deciding enough's enough as well. And here comes Nozzle, but I think Falcon is going to be out way ahead. You can just see Nozzle on the... Oh, you could just see him flashing through on the right-hand side of the screen, and yeah, Falcon is out with clear air over his teammate. But I think Johnny SVK has popped up in between them. So
That's
Johnny
correct.
into P6 now.
Yeah, fascinating now that Nossel will not be able to keep up with Falcon for the moment, but yeah, with Johnny in the battle for sixth position, then yeah, it will be a heck of a job now for Nossel to carry on from here. But we'll see how he gets on, of course, getting back to full speed now. Of course, yeah, this first sector will be reasonably good there, but Falcon coming out of the pits. Yeah, he'll be excited to see how he keeps this stint going. Texas just taking turn 8 not too long ago, so it's not impossible from here.
Rick Cardle sets another fastest lap of 33.58 and has a 26-second lead over the rest of the field. Remember, he still has to serve his mandatory stop. And let's get a look at who still owes us one of those stops. Everyone down to Falcon does. Johnny SVK does. January, Matty, DLV, Redbot, and Kazaz. Actually, fewer people have stopped than have not. So lots and lots of pit lane action still to come of the drivers who owe us a trip down pit lane. But so far, so good for Rick Cardle. He leads by almost, well, what will be about 15 seconds once the rest of the field pit. But at the moment, it's McGreo in P2. Then it's Krill, who's fairly close behind, just a second and a half. Then we've got Texas in P4. Falcon, after taking his mandatory stop, 44 seconds off the lead in 5th. Johnny SVK in 6th with Nozzle in 7th. Then it's January in P8 with Matty, P9, and DLV rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, so of course the order should still be shaken up when the mandatory pit stops come in. McGreo and Kirill close by each other at this stage. Both of them need to get into the pits before the end of the race. Neither are at all tempted on this lap anyway. And likewise, Texas just carries on with his work. So Falcon just got to keep the head down. Now he has clear track in front and behind. So yeah, he should be reasonably pleased with how things are faring out for him. As lap 21 will begin for him in earnest, and then of course our race leader is already past sector 1.
Yeah, Rick Cardle's also put a lap over Kazaz as well. So the first driver to go a lap down in this race. And it won't be the last because we're only 21 laps into this one. Over a third to go through this race. And, well, I think this sets the scene quite nicely for what is going to be a long championship, but a lot of different tracks, a lot of different styles of tracks. A lot of them are going to be tight and twisty, way less open than this course at Westhill East. And we've got some firm favourites coming back into the championship this year, including the relatively newly designed Monaco GP circuit replica. Will be a fun one for these cars.
Of course, yeah, they'll be able to make use of any confined spaces on the famous Côte d'Azur street circuit. So let's give it a non-copyrighted name from Gran Turismo, for example.
Well, since an official replica doesn't exist inside Live for Speed, I think it's fairly safe to call it by its
true.
common name, but fair enough.
And in the pits comes Johnny. Johnny will not play too much of a blocker for Nossel anymore. Nossel will be now able to concentrate on catching his teammate. So we'll see now if Johnny needs any extra service done. The tyres look excellent. Absolutely clean car, just maybe a smidgen on the front left suspension, but it's absolutely, impossible to notice unless you're really looking. So it's just a regular get in the box and get out of the box.
Yeah, no work being done. Only a handful of drivers so far adding fuel to their cars, which could be uh, interesting when we get to the end. This car is well, it has a bit of a thimble for a fuel tank, considering sort of how much power it has and the length of the race. But we may see some drivers running out of fuel by the end of this one, unless they're taking note of their fuel consumption. Or they'll be forcing themselves into 2 stops. One of the two.
Yeah, if it were me, I absolutely would not want to stop here twice willingly under green flag conditions. That pit lane is going to cost you about certainly 35 seconds. It's such a long one, and of course, no speed limiter to do the job for you. You've got to stay right underneath that speed limit.
Yeah, as we switch to this battle, it's probably the closest fight we've got on the track at the moment between January and Matty. This is a fight for P7. As Matty goes on to lap 23 in pursuit of January. And he won't be close enough, I don't think, out of the first turn to get a slipstream, but January, aware that he's there, takes a very wide line to avoid any sniff of a slipstream. But the gap is way too big. You wouldn't feel any effect from that distance.
Now their speed is equalised, pretty much. No difference at all.
Yeah, another 2 cars that are getting close together is Dodislav and DLV. Dodislav, of course, trying to climb the order again for the 3rd time after losing a whole chunk of time on 2 separate occasions so far this race. The one round of this championship that will use a different car than the Formula Skippy will be the Monaco round, and that will use the Formula 60. So it won't be using this car. It's the only round of the championship that will use a different car, a car potentially more suited for the circuit replica. As Dodislav here is really closing up to DLV now. Eoin, this is going to be a close one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be crucial. And January pits, so these drivers will take note of that. They should be ahead of January if things go according to plan. DLV, though, is going to try everything he can to distract Dodislav, but this is the last chance. If he's on the inside by turn 1, it's over. There's little you can do about it. So January has made a complete stop there, so he's already behind these guys. And there we go. Dodislav is now through on DLV.
Yeah, good move. Timed it perfectly. Clean racing from the both of them, leaving each other space. Fortunately, Dodislav didn't run too wide and spin again like he did previously over start finish. He seems to have learnt the final corner by now. As Rick Cardle emerges out of turn 1 with traffic ahead of him. This is Redbot, who is his next overtake. Of course, Rick Cardle hasn't seen any other cars really this race other than Kazaz, and now he finally gets to do some overtaking. But it will be slightly superficial under blue flags. The traffic ahead of him compelled to get out of the way, Eoin, rather than really feeling though they can defend.
Of course, yeah. I suppose turn 1 was the only real threat to Rick's lead, knowing how good of a start. I think we saw earlier on that he was a bit in danger there, but it worked out well in the end. Yeah, Sufor, I think, got a good start, for example, and just couldn't quite make it count. So yeah, now that Rick will be able to use blue flags, it'll be the first time he's seen any opponents for 24 laps, as of course he would have been watching his mirrors on lap 1.
Yeah, pretty much. And there we go. Redbot is put a lap down. The next car that they will see will likely be McGo, or in fact, they might not even see them because they are quite far back. Ricardo is on a different level of pace to everybody else this afternoon. 30 seconds in the lead. This has been a familiar story the last couple of races that we've covered here on Sim Broadcast, Owen, with Sidus having mammoth leads. We had, what was Gabba's gap in the BF1 at Fern Bay Gold on Tuesday? Something like 40, 48 seconds or something?
Yeah, he absolutely crushed it.
And that was only half an hour.
Yeah.
It was only a half an hour race. This is, we've been racing now for almost 40 minutes at this point, and the gap is 31 seconds that Ricardo has. But of course, he does owe us a pit stop, so let's see what let's see what happens. No particularly tight battles at the moment, so it's more a case of we're waiting really to see at what point the drivers are going to pit in these last 8 laps that we have here.
Yeah, that is the key call. Matty, 15 seconds clear of Dodislaw, for example. Matty should be thinking to make sure he can complete this race in a strong fashion. Too far back from Nossel anyway, so yeah, I don't believe he's pitted. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Matty, if he keeps this pace going, then the top 10 is a possibility. So yeah, Matty has not stopped, so his target should be Magic and Johnny SVK. I think they're the kind of drivers he needs to battle with, whereas DLV in 9th place, but without a pit stop as well, he will not be expected to finish in the top 10. We are getting points after a high rate of attrition. I certainly do applaud him if this form carries on.
Yeah, January getting through on January being passed there by Ricardo to go a lap down at the 27 lap mark, so that will take a lap off of January's lap tally as McGregor goes into the pit lane for his mandatory stop. No work going on that car, no fuel either, so another driver that's confident they can get their car to the end. Interesting.
Here comes Nossel. Nossel should be through now. Yes, Nossel through. So Magrio with pretty much the objective now is just to try and regain time against the race green competitor, and with the competition behind, he'll just need to hang on in there for a little bit longer as well. So yeah, Nossel, Falcon both through.
Thanks for joining us on your Saturday afternoon or morning or evening, wherever it is you're watching from, for some Live for Speed action. The first round of the Layout Racing League in Live for Speed in 2025. First round of a 12-round championship that'll take us through to the beginning of July. And there's still time to sign up, or rather get involved in this championship. There are no sign-ups for this one, rather unusually. There have been in previous seasons, but it's an open lobby. You can turn up at the beginning of qualifying, which is at 3 o'clock UTC, and join in with the racing action here. You can check out the Layout Racing League on the Live for Speed events calendar. You head over to that URL in the top right-hand side of your screen, lfs.net, click on events, and you can see all the other racing action that's happening in LFS over the coming days, weeks, and months. This championship is one of them, so please join us for more action in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, Matty there, you would have just seen him on camera, chucking the car around all over the place, trying to avoid losing the back end of the car to a spin. So yeah, we'll see if this carries on into the chicane. No, it looks a little bit more planted this time. Yeah, he's doing his utmost just to keep up with Magrio as our race leader finds his ideal time to pit. No service is likely at this stage. You really should be clued on and ready to get this opening victory of the year. Yeah, there we go. just 1 second basically.
No work going on that car, so in and out for Rick Cardle. No, no work being done. No fuel going in, so he thinks he can get to the end of the race on the fuel that he has. So that must be the case for most other people as well. I think they must have used less fuel than perhaps we expected. And now you see that the gap that he has is 16 seconds over Kirill. Kirill retakes P2 and still owes us a pit stop. So really, I think Falcon is the next best down the line, and that's a 30-second gap that Rick Cardle has. So very good effort to have stretched that much of a lead in just 28 laps.
Yeah.
Our 14 runners are approaching the point at which they need to decide if now is the time to come in for a stop. We're still owed 6 pit stops by the drivers. Kirill, Texas, Matty, DLV, Redbot, and Kazaz. And let's see if Texas goes in on this time. No, so they're probably going to leave it quite late. It is a mandatory pit stop. I hope the drivers are aware of the fact that they have to make a pit stop during the race. It'd be a shame to see 6 of them disqualified for not doing that, but let's give them time.
Sean has given them a friendly reminder there in the game client just to make sure you make your mandatory pit stop. So yeah, it's not like NDR normally where they'll be merciless. You have to know everything under the rule book of your particular series. They won't be that generous. So Sean, giving the drivers a solid, making sure this race ends with a clean sweep of rule obeying drivers.
Yeah, it's DLV there. Gets passed by Magic, but goes straight into the pit lane after that reminder. Doesn't want to do an extra lap before remembering to come in. And a lot of the drivers, some of the drivers will need to remember that they have been lapped. I know Kazaz has been lapped, but he's also just come in to do his mandatory stop as well. Who else have we got in? We've got Matty in as well. So yeah, I think a few drivers actually benefiting from that late call by Sean to remind them that there is a pit stop due. So yeah, as Eoin said, normally race control are very strict on that, and they won't give reminders. It is up to you to remember the rules. Give everyone sort of an even playing field. But on this occasion, I think it's fair enough.
We have Kirill for his pit stop. That will likely surrender the podium to Falcon. Then Nossel, of course, Texas is he's taking it to the ragged edge here. He carries on to the penultimate lap, so he wants to hope for a miracle and maybe pit under yellow so he can benefit. But no, it's running out of time in less than 90 seconds really until he has to pit this car, or else he's in big trouble.
Yeah, Falcon is through. Falcon takes back P2 overall once Texas pits. So Kirill hasn't done enough. But where is Nozzle? Nozzle's also gone through, and that's side by side with Magrio then. So we do have a battle on for P4 overall. It's pretty close. Magrio coming out in this out of turn 1 in the slipstream of the rejoining Kirill there.
Yeah, Magrio, the temptation is definitely ripe here to get Kirill when he is off his usual rhythm. It's his best chance right here, right now. Perhaps turn 5 is rather dangerous to go in for an attack. Then turn 6 coming up, the quick left-hander. This is it now. He's got to do it now if he wants the position. Kirill tries his utmost to resist. Magrio sliding. There's going to be contact. And nothing Kirill could have done there. Just unlucky Magrio. The way his right rear tire slid up the camber a little bit, and Kirill unfortunate having to take evasive action as race leader starts his final lap.
Yeah, and Texas goes into the pit lane at the final time of asking. Redbot needs to come in as well, but let's see if Texas gets this sorted out. And where's he going to come out? He's probably going to come out somewhere in that McGreo-Krill battle. And he comes. Falcon gets through, takes back over P2. Here comes Nozzle to take back a podium. So at the moment, onto the final lap, it's a double podium for Race Green, which is nice. As Kirill and McGreo both go under the gantry just as Texas is going over the track. So he's going to rejoin just before Dodislav, who's coming through the final corner. Might be close between those two. No, Texas is already out onto the straight to turn 2. Final couple of corners then for Rick Cardle. 24.5-second lead over the Race Green duo. And pretty uneventful race really for Rick Cardle. Pretty straightforward after the first corner. Kept his head down, kept the car clean. Hopefully he's got enough fuel. I'm sure he has.
He could coast. He could coast from this point onwards, but it's no danger whatsoever. He's going to flourish to the finish. Lovely slide there. And there's the checkered flag waving to greet our new championship leader for 2025 LRL. It is Rick Cardle. Dominant display.
Yeah, well deserved. He'll do a victory lap and make his way around to start-finish for the podium photo as we wait patiently for everyone else to come across the line. Start-finish completely void of cars as out of the final corner comes Race Green Falcons across the line to take P2. And a short while longer, it's going to be Nozzle. Here he is. Had P2 for a little bit, but Falcon just had the pace in the end. Over the line in P3, close in the end between Kirill and McGreo, but Kirill gets P4. McGreo less than 0.2 of a second back in P5. 6th for Texas. Then when waiting for Dodislav, there he is across the line in P7. A race that could have been for Dodislav for sure. He certainly had the pace. And then over the grass to the finish comes Magic in P8. 9th for Johnny SVK. Going to be 10th for January, and Matthew will be a close 11th. With DLV there registered a lap down in P12. Redbot and Kazaz, your 14 finishes in this one, Owen. That was quite a rate of attrition, but a good number of finishes in the end. In 50 minutes and 36 seconds with the fastest lap of a 1:33.37. It is Rick Cardle taking an early championship lead in race 1. Falcon and Nozzle P2 and 3, rounding out your podium with Kirill, McGreo, Texas, Dodislav, Magic, Johnny SVK and January, your top 10. Matty, DLV, Redbot and Kazaz are your 4 remaining finishers, taking us to 14 as they're in the background. Rick Cardle takes his place up on the start-finish line on his own. And then our non-finishers today are Gabri, Lucas, Lorenzo, Sufor, Igorka, Greason. And we do have a second screen of results with Bozo, Immortus, and Slavic 95 on there. So 23 starters and 14 finishers. As we have 2 of our podium on the start-finish line. That's Rick Cardle and Falcon there in the background.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at Dodislav. He is out of fuel, so he's getting a rescue car push to help him back to Parc Ferme, I suppose you could call it. So yeah, one driver did test the very limits of the fuel tank, but he made it to the end, and that's what matters.
Texas is also out of fuel, so the NDR rules state that the cars have to make it to the pit lane at the end of the race, and the course cars will help you to the pit lane if you need it, but ideally you need to have enough fuel in the car to get back round yourself. But there we go, your provisional race results after round 1 of Layout Racing League, and your podium sitters there in the middle of shot. Rick Cardle in the middle, Falcon to his right, our left, and Nozzle closest to the camera. Wonderful. that is that for the first round. And as I mentioned during the broadcast and at the beginning, you can join this championship because it is an open lobby. You don't have to sign up or anything. You can just turn up for qualifying at 3 p.m. UTC and join us for the races here, which have so far been quite good. It was certainly more difficult than maybe some of the drivers would have expected. However, this is a single make championship, except that round at Monaco GP, where we'll be using the Formula 60 on March 22nd. But yeah, until then, we're going to be using the Formula Skippy for all the other rounds as well. So we hope that you will join us for that. If you enjoyed the broadcast, and the opportunity to drive these cars with the grid that you saw today is a tantalizing prospect, which to me it is. I think this car has once again, Owen, shown that it can be fun in a pack. It can be fun as an individual challenge, but it provided some great action this afternoon, and yeah, some great overtaking.
Yeah, I mean, the first 10 laps, absolutely incredible. And I know it was certainly chaotic as well, but we did see some fabulous contests for position, and the car really put itself through its paces today. Everyone was working hard to make sure that the fact that you could be running close to everybody and monitoring their fuel as well. So balancing act. Yeah, the first 10 laps were absolutely extraordinary, I thought. So much drama and chaos on top of the great driving up the top from Ricciardo. So yeah, really, really positive start to this new Layout Racing League Championship for the 2025 year. So yeah, round 2 at Monaco. Hope to see us there if you do want to enter.
Yeah, we'll see you all at the next round. It won't be Monaco, it will be Broker Hill.
Beg your pardon.
Will be around 5, but that's all right. Don't worry about it.
My bad.
It's all good. It's in there somewhere, and I wish it was the next round because it is a great track. But anyway, we'll give the other ones some airtime as well, and before round 5, and we hope to see you all there. From all of us here at Sim Broadcast, we hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Don't forget that we are live for Master Race Cars Rallycross Championship round number 4, taking place tomorrow night at 7 o'clock UTC. Please join us for coverage, or join us on the grid if you do in fact fancy signing up for Master Race Cars Rallycross Championship. We'd really appreciate seeing you there. But from all of us at Sim Broadcast and New Dimension Racing, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Good night.
Bye.
Here come the lights. We are green.
This is now side by side for the race lead.
Yeah, big pile up there.
They're so close. Gets a bump for his trouble.
This is mad stuff.
It's going to be a photo finish, folks.